Hey, welcome back everybody. Today I wanted to talk about how to grow Tabasco peppers for big yields like this. Well, the first thing, grow them in a concrete block. Let the bottom of the block get to the earth itself, right? So why would you want to do that? So this is particularly useful if you have clay. What's going to happen is that top, you're going to have container mix in there, so the roots will be able to spread quickly. They'll find the clay eventually. And really, it's the best of both worlds. You got a container that you're growing in, but it's exposed to the earth, so it'll get down and get into that nice mineral compound that's in the ground itself. Now, I already know some of you are thinking, oh, want the block leach. I'll talk about that at the end of this video, so stay tuned, I'll get to that. Now, number two, feed it. Feed it when you plant it, feed it 2 weeks after that, and then 2 weeks after that. So the first 6 weeks you want to feed it. By then the roots are down to the clay. You can keep on feeding it, but to me it's a waste of money because the clay is full of the minerals. So continuing to feed it is optional, but you do want to feed it those first 6 weeks to get that root structure nice and healthy. And then of course, like anything, water. You want to water inside the top of that block, and you also want to water on the outside of the block. Same deal with all nightshades. You don't want too much and you don't want it to dry out. So, you know, if you're going through June and July and it's kind of dry, then make sure you keep that moisture consistent. Peppers, not Tabasco so much, but things like jalapeno, for example, they will crack under different stress like a tomato will. So too much water at the wrong time and they'll start splitting up. And then third is sunlight. So you could see, right, the two that are in line with each other going back towards the fence, they are much healthier than the third one. And the reason is they had access to probably 1 hour to 2 hours of sun a day that the other plant did not, because the green one here, the thin one, that was directly in front of a giant Mexico tomato plant. So it did not get as much sun as the two in the line. Now, you know, the full sun, 6 to 8 hours. I guess if you look back 100 years, they say 5 hours. What I'm saying is a little bit of shade's okay, but if you get too much, it's going to stunt the growth of the pepper production. And that's your example right there. That's exactly why there's a difference. Because the one in the front just did not get as much daylight as the other two. That being said, they all got shade. They were not just blistering in the sun for 10 hours a day, 9, 10 hours a day. So shade is good, but there's a sweet spot where you can get too much and then it will stunt the growth of that pepper plant. Very, very important, sun. So on the recap, grow it in a block, feed it for 6 weeks, make sure the water's maintained, and make sure it's getting adequate sunlight. Now the last thing, won't that block leach? Well, I don't need university studies. I've been doing this for 3 years. Never had a problem that I've noticed. And if it did appear that the pH is rising, which is easy enough to check with a meter, I would just add some sulfur to bring the acidity back down. It's not that big a deal. Don't worry about blocks leaching. You see all kinds of information on the internet, and it's supposition and speculation, sometimes studies, but you know, your best study is do it yourself. I haven't had any problem with leaching blocks and messing up the pH. None. Well, please subscribe if you haven't already, and drop some knowledge and questions down there, how you like to grow peppers or anything you might want to ask about how I'm growing these peppers, right? So happy gardening, y'all, and we'll see you on the next one.